Hello, everyone. I'm Willem,
And I'm Tim.
and this is our first episode of season 2 of Hear Me Out Pitch. Woo! Happy New Year, everybody! Holy crap, it's 2024. I'm gonna turn 29 this year. I'm old.
I'm gonna turn 23 this year. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, such a young man. Oh.
Yep.
Oh, man. So how was your New Year's, Tim?
It was pretty good.
Pretty good?
It's pretty good.
Nothing too crazy?
Nothing too crazy.
Nothing? Any New Year's resolutions?
No.
No?
I honestly think New Year's resolutions is kind of stupid.
A little bit. A little bit. Okay, how about this? What is a goal you would like to have done by the end of this year? Doesn't have to be anything like, but it doesn't have to be a resolution, but it's like, what's something that you want to happen this year?
There's a couple things that would be nice if they happen this year. Probably won't. But the big one I think is I would like to be able to afford a house. Or like just the down payment on a house, or like a duplex or something. I'm not saying I don't like living in these apartments. They're great apartments.
Great apartments.
But I think a house would be nice for my wife and I. I think it'd be
definitely forgot to silence my phone. I'm sorry. But yeah, I'm right there with you. I think a down payment on a house would be awesome, but that's probably not going to happen because of the car situation I got going on. That's right, folks. The last day of the year, my car just gave up the ghost on me, and it was terrible. So I've been hunting for a new car, and it's been great. We all know that pain. So, it's a real witch hunt to try to find a car these days.
That was a segue.
Yeah, it was.
That's what it was.
Yeah, I like segues. Well, yeah.
Speaking of witch hunts, I guess. Yeah, I guess the movie. We'll introduce the movie we're reviewing today, talking about today. The Last Witch Hunter.
With Vin Diesel. Came out in 2015. A year where I was just completely, literally out of everything. So
your dark year.
My dark year. But you know what? It had bad ratings. It was like very negative and received poorly, but I liked it, sadly. That's the thing about sometimes we get these movies that aren't reviewed very well. We watch them and then we both go, "Oh, I liked it. I liked it more than Babylon AD, our last one."
Oh, gross.
Our last Vin Diesel movie. I liked it more than The Mummy.
Yeah. This movie, honestly, I think collectively we said it was like an 8 out of 10.
Yeah.
It's a really good movie in general.
The first half is a phenomenal movie.
Mm-hmm.
The ending is a little lackluster, and it really does have you wanting more, which was funny because they wanted to have more of it, and we were kind of talking about it at the end of it, but the mid 2010s to I would say I'll say 2014 to 2019, that 5 years was just the years of Marvel. That's all everyone wanted to go see. So anything that came out then just couldn't compete.
Yeah,
we saw it with The Mummy.
The only things that could compete was Star Wars.
That's it.
That's all that I can think of that actually did well during that time.
And it hurts me because I used to laugh going, "Oh, it's so funny that superhero movies used to be made fun of so much," but now it literally is like I would rather go see anything else. I have seen more movies not Marvel in theaters this past year than I did Marvel movies. I don't think I went and saw a Marvel movie in theaters last year. No, I saw Guardians of the
Yeah.
Galaxy 3.
We watched Guardians of the Galaxy 3 same day,
Same
same
day,
theater.
not together,
Not
but
together.
the same day.
We went. We didn't intend it this way, but we ended up running into each other in the theater. And that was fun.
Now I'm getting car ads on all the stupid commercials, and I'm getting mad. Yeah. I know, Bountiful Mazda. I see you every day. Ugh. Go away.
But yeah, I think this movie, had it come out now, it would have done way better.
I think it would have done way better.
And I'm gonna say this: nothing against Vin Diesel. There is one type of character he can play, and this movie he does it well.
Yes,
there are some parts that it's really cheesy, but it's only like a few lines. For the most part, like it's a good movie.
I like him as the friendly giant kind of character.
Yeah.
And I mean, he was the Iron Giant, but he only says few words. But Vin Diesel is and he plays Groot. He literally is a friendly giant character. Vin Diesel, I would think, from this movie, he should play more friendly characters who can switch to
the scary
serious.
Yes.
Because if we get a little bit of that every once in a while, we go, huh. But really, when Vin Diesel smiles and he talks softly to people, like the beginning of this movie, well, maybe we should talk about the beginning of this movie.
Yeah.
Really quick for them.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to say this just straight up right before we get into it, right out of the gates. This movie would benefit from being a series, I think.
So do you mean like TV series?
8 episodes, maybe anywhere between half hour to 45 minutes long each. That's what I think it would benefit from.
And your wife mentioned that this movie was going to have a movie sequel.
Yes.
But as we said, because of the age of Marvel, 2014 to 2019, it just wasn't going anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think 2014, I don't think we had 2 movies that year, but that was Winter Soldier, and that movie rocked the box office that year.
Oh, it killed it.
It's one of my favorites. This had to compete with Age of Ultron.
Yeah.
Which you all might not like it. It's one of my favorites.
Age of Ultron is, of the 4 Avengers movies, it's my favorite of those 4 movies.
You know what? I think I might agree with you, but the experience, and again, I was gone during 2015, so I didn't get to see it in theater, but nothing will top the experience of watching Endgame and Infinity War in theaters. Nothing.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. But I think just the villain, I love Thanos as a villain. Ultron's my favorite.
He can come back.
He's so good.
He totally can come back.
He could.
There are 2 Visions out there in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Well, there's one currently that is not our Vision, but he has programs of Ultron in him somewhere. And I really was expecting, you haven't watched. I'm kind of spoiling stuff.
Nope.
I'll just stop talking then.
I mean, we've both talked about how much we're sick of Marvel at the moment. Of their new stuff. So.
I'm pretty sure though we are going to review a Marvel movie next week. We're finally going to break our 2-month. I think it's been like over that. It's been
something like that.
It's been a long time. But to summarize this movie, The Last Witch Hunter came out 2015. It has Vin Diesel. It's got Elijah Wood. I don't know how many of you know Rose Leslie, but she was in it, and she plays. I thought she was wonderful in this movie.
She did a really good job. Got Michael Caine, which
it does have Michael Caine in it.
Makes the movie better and better automatically.
What was she? I think she's in Game of Thrones. Is that what she's in?
I think so.
Ah, okay, yeah. Oh, is she in the Oh, she's in the Time Traveler's Wife. I've always wanted to watch that. I need to watch that then. Dang. Anyway, so first off, I will say that the character of Calder, Vin Diesel's character, is just a very like. If I do get a live action Thanos, not Thanos, Kratos, I need something similar to the vibe that
Mm-hmm.
Calder was giving. He was a
Yeah.
witch hunter from 800 years ago. He was there, like kind of, I would say, like a Viking slash
It was like medieval.
medieval time period piece for them. He had a big old beard, long hair, which was hilarious to
It
see
was.
on him.
In the dark, like in the shadows, the beard and the longer hair look really good on him.
But then later in the movie, you see the
Later in
light,
the
and you're
movie,
like,
you see him
oh,
in the
I can see
light,
what.
and it's
This movie, was it the
weird.
best acting and production wise? No. But the
No.
story was compelling. Again, it's better than what we've seen nowadays. It was a
Yeah.
good story. I was like, I have questions, I have concerns. When this twist happened at the movie, I predicted it, but I still was like, oh,
Yeah.
because I totally forgot about it because they did such a good job.
Yeah, they did a really good job hiding things and waiting and not spoiling everything right at the beginning.
Yeah.
Which that is a massive issue we're seeing nowadays, where the entire plot of the movie gets spoiled within the first 5 minutes.
Yep.
And yeah, this movie did really well keeping things linear.
There's just a few nitpick things again at the end that I'm like, oh.
Mm-hmm.
So we kind of keep getting on tangents, but so Calder was a witch hunter. He, in the beginning of the movie, him and a group of warriors are going to fight the Witch Queen, who has set apart a plague tree, this giant tree that is, instilling a plague onto humanity. She's planning to wipe out humanity. It's pretty dang
It's
cool.
a massive tree.
Huge.
The tree itself is a castle.
It was really cool to see. I was like, that's awesome. And nope, I'm not getting distracted. We'll come up after because I had questions for you. But Calder has lost his wife and daughter to the plague. He is going to take revenge on witches because of what they've done. Long story short, Calder kills quote unquote the witch queen with flame and steel. Yeah. That's what he has to use. And
he takes a flaming sword, which makes me so happy.
It was very cool. Very well done. Like, if anyone here has seen How to Train Your Dragon 2, Hiccup Sword, it's
the same thing.
Same thing. It was amazing. Yep. Very well done. Loved it. And before the witch dies, succumbs to it, she kind of laughs, puts her arm, not puts her hand, she thrusts her hand into Calder.
She grabs his heart. Straight up grabs his heart and curses him with immortality.
Yep. Temple of Doom hold. Just Temple of Doom. Yes. Grabs his heart.
Exactly like that.
And curses him, which later on in the movie was so... Oh, that scene. We'll talk about it. But again, we were really surprised because I was by 40 minutes in, I went, I'm not hating this. There are cinematic flaws. There's kind of things with acting that I definitely would change, but we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about the general feel of the story, and it was good. So, Calder is cursed with immortality. 800 years later, it's around 2015, whatever, modern day, and Calder now is Vin Diesel, just bald, clean-shaven, and witches have made a truce with humanity, and any witches that break that truce are imprisoned. And I kind of want to turn to Tim because I asked him, when I think we did mention it in Season of the Witch, but as a reminder for those who are maybe listening to this episode the first time, what do people generally use in fantasy as witches?
Witches are generally just really old women that have magic. And as a general note, there are many different ways that you can do a witch. in in fantasy stories and stuff. Um, a lot of stories will have witches be not human. They'll be a separate race of a separate kind of creature from human. They're not human at all. Um, and they'll reproduce through magical means. Most popular, most common that I've seen at least is witches are old ancient hags that have magic powers, but they're human at first. And when they come of age, their body changes, um, or or that doesn't happen, and they just, as they grow old, their body grows old, but their spirit and their soul continues to be young, and so they live on in their age. Um, in this movie, um, witches are human, but born with magic powers, and as they age, their body ages, but they can live basically forever, right?
Yeah, because the Witch Queen she grody. She was
Yeah.
scary. Which yeah.
She looked like a hag. Like she looked the part, which made me happy.
Yeah.
And it's not the classic really long hooked nose and the big warts and stuff.
She looked like she was turning into a tree.
Almost mummified.
Yeah.
She looked almost mummified.
And like her ponytail was almost like a spine. She looked so alien, but yet not alien. And I thought it was really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's what a witch is. In this story, in this movie, witches, if a male ends up with these powers, they're a warlock. And if it's a woman, it's a witch.
So it's very simple. And the thing is, they set up the world building really well. I love whenever you have witches. So a person of magic in this movie, witch or warlock, their eyes will have this faint glow like an animal's.
It's almost like when you're taking a picture of an animal, right, in the dark.
Uh-huh.
Or like a person in the dark,
and their eyes just kind of get that glossy.
Their eyes.
And that was really cool. So even when they're activating magic, whenever it's very well done. Yeah. And at the beginning of the movie, Calder's friend, who let me try to. I don't want to get their title wrong, because since Calder's been living for such a long time, he has these helpers called Dolans. Mm-hmm. And he's on his, what Dolan was it?
36th.
Michael Caine was number 36.
Plays the 36th Dolan, which is a high priest that helps Calder with his duties.
In the order of the
Axe and the Cross.
The Axe and the Cross, which was funny because Tim automatically goes, "Oh, so this is a better version of Frankenstein. Frankenstein."
That's exactly what this movie is. I Frankenstein tried to do this, but they went super edgy, and they didn't end up telling.
We didn't get backstory.
They didn't tell the waitress to stop with the cheese.
Because if I'm right, Frankenstein came out 2014, so a year before this. So why, to us at least, do we like this more than Frankenstein?
I think it's because it's not as edgy, for one. Like, Frankenstein, oh my gosh, it was the edgiest movie.
It's not a phase, Mom.
Exactly. Like, it's super edgy. It was very dark. They kept to the shadows, and then like I said, they just had all the cheese. This movie, on the other
This
hand,
literally, though, is lighter.
it's
It's like
they
DC
use
versus Marvel back in the day. Every
yes.
DC movie was darker and edgier.
Mhm.
Marvel was brighter and
Think of it this way: it's the difference between a Batman movie and an Iron Man movie.
okay. I can go with that.
I think in lighting,
In lighting.
because there are in Iron Man there are parts where it's super dark, right? I'm thinking the first Iron Man
When he's in the cave.
when he's in the cave and when he's fighting the Ironmonger, um, it's dark, and there are those moments, but in this movie they have the darker themes throughout, contrasted by the light.
Yeah.
Right? Like, Elijah Wood's character, right? He plays the 37th Dolan.
Yeah.
And Calder also. They're both wearing black. But in a lot of the scenes, they're in rooms where it's
color,
white walls, colored walls, and it's like just very colorful, and it's a very good contrast.
No, I really do love how the witches are, because the witches, funny enough that we're talking about color, all the color that happens in this movie is when we're with witches.
Yeah.
Because one part, as we're watching right now, is of one of the blind witches, or would he be a warlock?
He's a warlock.
Max, this very kind-looking, but he does, he reminds me of this janitor I had growing up in elementary school. Mm-hmm. Just remind me of him so bad. I was like, oh my gosh.
He reminds me of like a hippie version of Heimdall.
That's right. And that you said that hippie version of Heimdall.
Hippie Heimdall.
Because he's blind.
He's blind.
Even though Heimdall's not really blind, but still.
Yeah.
And he works with mind-altering bugs, and he works in a bakery, and they're putting the mind-altering bugs in the things. But the scene where he first appears, there's butterflies everywhere, and he snaps his fingers, and all this blue is flying. So beautiful. We both were like, wow.
Mm-hmm.
So I never noticed that they were always in black suits, but all the witches and warlocks are all kind of colorful.
Yeah. Well, not all of them.
Not all of them, but a majority.
A lot of them have more color.
There's more color and brightness when witches and warlocks are involved. When it gets to like more evil witches and warlocks, yeah, it does get kind of...
It's more muted.
More muted. So we did mention Michael Caine's character of the 36th Dolan. He is retiring. That's never happened before. Usually the Dolans are required to die by his side, because, you know, if you have an immortal buddy, you're not going to, you know, see him get any older. Mm-hmm. And the big mystery that's kind of the, what's it called? The MacGuffin? The MacGuffin of this movie is that Michael Caine's character, the 36th Dolan, mysteriously dies.
Dies in his sleep, quote unquote.
Yep.
But then they discover that he was actually murdered by witches.
And Elijah Wood, who is the 37th Dolan, and, you know,
takes over for Michael Caine's character.
And they become buddy cop sort of thing for a little bit in the movie. Mm-hmm. And, you know, they're talking, they're asking for instances, and Dolan's trying to figure out who killed Dolan. And it's really good. Like this scene right here. This little kid is finding gummy bears on the floor, walks up and starts taking gummy bears from a tree. And then when Vin Diesel taps him on the shoulder to send them on their way because, you know, it's a trap.
All the color mutes and you see that it's rotten apples.
A rotten crab apple tree. And don't ever eat crab apples. They're just... Ugh. I used to have a crab apple tree, and they really are just... I believe... Never mind. Yeah. But it was just cool to kind of see that. I immediately was like, oh, that's what Hansel and Gretel must have been like. You know, it was really cool to kind of see, like, oh, they would alter minds to play tricks on them. It was really cool. Like, just simple things like that make you go, huh, I like the world building in here was so well done. You went more into it. There are a few questions though I have, and that's with Chloe's character.
Yeah.
You know, the female witch who helps. Um, oh my gosh, I want to call him Nolan, but it's not Nolan. Calder later on because he needs to go into his memories because turns out that Dolan, the 36th Dolan, is not dead. He's paralyzed. He's got a few days to rescue him, and he looks into the evidence and finds the clue that he needs to look back in his memories. So he goes to a bar, which I love. I love the bar scene.
The bar scene is so cool.
He just rubs his ring along the banister, and all the witches and wizards look up and go, "Oh, it's a witch! It's the witch hunter." They don't say like a witch hunter. He is the witch hunter. Like, because they're all saying like he's the one that we talk to our kids about. Like
he's the boogeyman.
He's the reason that witches. Like the whole Batman line, I am the reason criminals ease up when the sun rises. Like, it's just so funny. Like, I was just kind of like, oh, he's their boogeyman. Because it's for 800 years. That's probably...
That's a really long time.
Even by witches and warlock standards, probably. Because most of them are like... Because at one point, you know, he's fighting this wizard right now. This warlock right now. Who was there when Dolan died. He was the one who killed Dolan. This is before they figure out Dolan is not dead. And they find that, and he says that my great-great-great-grandfather served the queen. And you're like, wait a minute, how old do you guys live? He's 800 years old. So what is he to you guys? Is he like Aragorn to an elf? Or are the witches more like Aragorn and he's an elf? Like, I was kind of like, it's kind of cool that they kind of kept that unanswered.
Yeah, but it's a little enigmatic, but you can speculate. And I think that's fun.
It was a lot of fun. And there is a witch that he does see later on in the movie who seems to be really, really old. And she was a cool character. I kind of went off on a tangent there, everyone. I'm sorry. But Chloe. Yes. Chloe is basically the woman, the witch who, you know, there always has to be someone who, it was going to come where a witch was going to learn to help the witch hunter, blah, blah. So with that being said, I really was hoping that he kind of had a prejudice against witches. A little bit.
I'm glad that he didn't.
I mean, I'm glad, but sometimes I just felt like,
I like the idea that it's almost like in the 800 years that he's been around, right? He's learned to care about the witches because a lot of them aren't actually evil.
Yeah, because we see after he cuts into modern day, he's on a plane and the young witch has the Weatherstones squeezed together. And he has to fix them because they're about to cause a storm and blast their airplanes.
And she straight up asks him, "Are you gonna kill me?" And he's like, "Kill you? No, I'm here to stop you from killing yourself," because she's not being smart with her magic. And he smiles, a very kind smile at her.
And and that's why part of me was kind of bugged though. So because they act all hostile toward him, but then he's also renowned of being friendly. So I wish we would have seen him.
I like how it's more. He is a teddy bear who can become mama bear very quick.
Well, and I agree. I do agree that. And so I think what I'm trying to say is that I wish they would done. He doesn't fit in the world. If that makes sense. He doesn't fit by that standard because they treat him like he's always been, and maybe he's that old and a lot of them are super old and they just won't forgive him for some of the stuff he's done. Because it does mention he's wiped out factions, but yet, as we learn in the scene we're watching now, is that they don't really kill witches anymore. Even if they're guilty of heinous crimes. They just imprison them.
Imprison them in stone.
In stone, in the witch's prison,
Mm-hmm.
which the creature, I called it the soul eater, but this creature, which is the guardian of them, it was so well done.
The Sentinel.
The Sentinel, it was so well done. I was like, that's a cool monster. And I thought it was very well done. It's just big, made out of bones and trees, and it just looks terrifying.
Mm-hmm. It looks so freaking cool.
But just kind of like, because like right there, he's talking to the witches' council, and they seem kind of a little bit apprehensive of him. And yeah, I don't know. Sometimes the tone shifting was a lot, because right now he chose to grab a fly from the head witch's shoulder, and she flinches back. And so I wish they would have done a better job of being like, oh, a lot of people, I wish they would have made it more visibly clear, like a lot of witches don't trust him because of what he is. But I wish they would have shown a lot of the community that like he walks in and goes, oh my gosh, Calder, good to see you. Like they just love him.
Mm-hmm.
And I wish they would have seen more divide on that. Yeah. Because he's so friendly at some points, but then how they treat him is so like, did he slap your grandma? Like, why are you all so angry? Because he seems to be at peace with everybody. Mm-hmm. In the first, 20 minutes of the movie, I'm like, does this dude have no enemies? And then it just, so I don't know.
I don't know. I like the idea that maybe it's more they're scared of him. I feel like it's more they're scared of him because they know the stories.
And maybe that's it. I guess that could be it.
But they don't know him, and that's I like how Chloe kind of grows closer to him and starts to.
So maybe he's like a vampire to them, because really, if someone walked in the room, if someone walked into my apartment right now, sat down and said, "I am 800 years old, I'm a vampire," I'd be like, "Oh my gosh, you've seen so much. That's scary." I wouldn't know how to act around them. Maybe that's kind of the same thing. He's like, and yeah, for 200 years, I did all these heinous things. I'd be like, ew. But for the majority of his life, I don't know. So maybe I'm overthinking it, but maybe that's why I kind of, looking back on it now, I'm like, I just feel like the tone switches a lot. Watching it a second time, I'm kind of like, oh, they really switch it real fast.
Yeah.
So
that's part of what I think would benefit. This movie would benefit from being a movie, like a TV series instead.
Yeah,
because then they could build on that a little bit more over time.
But for the limited amount they did,
mm-hmm.
It was a very well done world building. Like here, we have Chloe serving all these potions for all the witches and warlocks, and there's all these insignias floating in the air. They're all drinking, they're all laughing, they're having a good time, and it's really cool to be like, oh, this is a safe haven for the witches.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden we see him just rubbing his hand along the banister, and it rings out, and everyone goes, I'm leaving.
Okay, bye.
And that's what bugs me, is everyone leaves. No one tries to be oh, skate, but it's yeah, and this one witch is all scared, oh, he talks all nice and sweet, but then bam, he chops your head off. And I'm like, what? When? They've been at peace for so long. When is that a thing? Are you guys that old? How old are you guys? This part right there, that just scene is one of the scenes that I'm like, not very well done. And that's okay, in my opinion. Everything else about this scene, him talking to Chloe, her being apprehensive, I get it. Because he's like a cop. It's a bar. You have to make sure things are up to order, because if she serves potions to humans, she gets arrested. But they all should know that he doesn't kill witches, because the one that supposedly killed Dolan is still alive. So why are they all like, oh, he's going to cut my head off? So sorry, I know I keep kind of coming back on that, but I'm just like, they're just so hostile toward him, but yet he's not hostile toward them. He respects them now.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Just a few things like that make me go,
I think another one of the really, really cool things about this is this interaction right here that we're seeing Chloe and Calder their first interaction, right? Calder has to review a memory. He needs to go into one of his memories.
He has to review his death. He has to
Yes.
remember his death.
And so Chloe, he asks Chloe to do a memory spell on her, or on him, and this whole, it's this whole thing where she's kind of annoyed with him or mad at him, very apprehensive, doesn't want to.
Oh, and he's like, how much to charge for a memory potion?
500.
And he's like, okay,
done.
5,000.
5,000. Okay.
50,000.
50,000. Can we just do this already?
But this part right here, I will admit, this is the type of humor that Marvel lost. It was perfect because she imbues the potion into a cherry of all things, and he eats the cherry and he puts his head back in a chair, and what does Chloe do? Gets her phone out, say witch hunter, and then Vin Diesel, witch hunter. Oh my gosh! And he's just showing her that he didn't swallow the cherry yet, and he's like, hey, be nice. And it was well done. Me and you both laughed really hard. It was good. It was funny. He's got a very big nose.
He does. I was just thinking that too.
But the dream memory walking, whatever you would call this.
Dream walking
that he does here was I liked it. It was well done. And to kind of break away and then get interrupted by the butthead wizard that's kind of tormenting him, Belial.
Yeah.
I thought Belial was very well done.
I agree. Very enigmatic. Shows up, does his thing. We don't learn much about him.
No, and I was okay with that.
Yeah. I honestly, I would have been a little annoyed if I had known more about him.
I wish that there was more, we would have seen more of his cult, because as we learn later on, he's trying to bring the Witch Queen back. And I really would have liked that we would have seen more of his kind, more people, because we did have a little narration by Michael Caine that there are so many wizards and witches that don't approve of what's gone on, that they've had to go into hiding, and no one really likes that. No one wants to go into hiding. If we look at all wizarding worlds that go into hiding, it's just humans are the majority, and it just takes over, like mutants.
Yeah.
Mutants, wizards, all these things. It's
nobody likes being forced to hide who they are.
Yes.
And that's just natural for anything.
Anything.
Right? It doesn't matter who you are, whether you're a witch or you're a regular human. If you have to hide who you are, it hurts.
Yeah, there's a lot of movies like that, like Jumper, like just religious cults that believe that, well, that's actually the religious cult is they want to keep... Yeah, it's basically the same, except they're the antagonists because they just hunt down anyone that can teleport. And this group, the Axe and the Cross, they were always hunting down wizards and warlocks and witches, and then they made a pact with them, and it was all good. And I get that, because they just were showing... Because there were probably some witches who were like the Witch Queen, who just kept calling humans parasites, and you're like, ooh, you're scary. And I think around this part is when things start, at like the introduction of Belial, is when things kind of, it's when the movie goes from a slant for me. I would say after the death of Chloe's friend is when it starts kind of, for me.
Yeah.
That's when it starts declining from a 10 out of 10 movie and starts going down. Because like this part right here, he gets awoken forcefully from a dream. That's not good. Belial's explaining to him, he's like, I was yanked out of a memory spell once, and it just scrambled me for days. Which really is cool that they're implying that Calder's mind is so well fortified. Because he's that old. Which I've always thought it was cool that when people are blessed with immortality, their minds become capable, their minds evolve. Because really, I can't really remember exactly 10 years ago to this day, but Calder can. Because 10 years ago for him is like a month, if that, 2 months. So, this part though, when he breaks his hand to get out of the handcuff that he was to the floor, it was so cool because I was like, oh, can he heal? And
then you watch as his hand reforms,
and I was like, oh,
everything heals, and it's kind of gross, but it's also kind of cool because he goes in and you watch as his
you watch the mama bear take
hand,
over.
Yeah, you watch as his hand reforms, and then turns into a fist, and he punches the guy.
It was very well done. Like, that scene was pretty cool. And then, Belial casting this weird ice wall. Very well done. Showing the strength of Calder and him going in and out of his memories. It's just very well done. Like, this part is still the 10 out of 10 movie. I love it.
Yeah.
But what makes me mad is I wish he would have explained more. Oh, okay, because he doesn't want him to have any more memory potions, so he immediately starts burning down Chloe's bar.
Yeah.
And I really wish we would have seen a stronger faction between the two, because later on, Chloe's kind of getting looked at funny, judged, because she's walking around with the witch hunter. So again, is there a prejudice? Is there a hatred toward him or not? Do they have iffy feelings toward him or not? Because even the council kind of respected him, but I wish they would have been like, I don't know. I know I keep coming back to that, and I apologize, because that's the thing that was kind of not sitting right with me near the end of the movie. But this scene that he's kind of going in and out of a bad memory, and he sees this demented witch, and he's choking out Chloe because he thinks that's her. So well done. I was like, is he going to stop? Is he going to kill her?
Yeah, it was well done.
Ugh.
The way that magic is portrayed in this is so great.
Because they are talking about 4 elements. You got earth, which I would assume, would plants be part of that?
Yes.
So earth, water, fire, and wind.
Yeah. The 4 alchemical elements.
And and everything changed when the Fire
Nation attacked. I made that comment last night and you didn't catch it.
I didn't hear you? Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. Oh. But that part right there, when Chloe looks at him, so her bar's burning down, she looks at Calder and says, "You truly do destroy everything you touch." Which bugs me, because like, what stories are they telling about him? And I wish that we would have seen more scorn from him.
Yeah. To be fair, it's already a 2-hour movie.
Yeah.
So if they added too much more, if they added everything we want to see, it's going to end up 3 hours.
Fine, Tim, you're making too much sense.
That's why I said it should be a series.
Yeah.
Because if it was a series, one of the episodes could have started with a mother telling a child the story of the terrible witch hunter. And just stuff like that, and it could expound on a few things. We could get a little bit more in-depth look into what the 37th Dolan is doing this whole time, what Elijah Wood's character is doing this whole time. We could see maybe a little bit more of Michael Caine's character. I think this whole bit with Chloe's character, I think she's her I think all of this is really well done.
Yeah, no. With her. Again, the movie doesn't go down for me until after, because right now she's having this nightmare, not nightmare, I don't know, nightmare, or I think he is trying. I believe
It's like a living nightmare.
Yeah, because Belial is trying to silence her because she can make memory potions, and the witch hunter's gonna try to do it, and she's already technically helped him. So in his mind, she's an enemy. He's not gonna feel guilty about killing another witch, and to him, sacrifices must be made to bring back the Witch Queen.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you make a good point. If this were to be a series, that's wonderful. So right there, what is it like? Was that Chloe's real face?
No, I think this is a dream of torment.
Okay.
That's what I think.
Because like Chloe's sitting there floating in some weird abyss because she gets pulled down by plants and she's in the shadows and she screams and her face changes for a brief second.
Well, she's facing herself.
Oh.
So on the right, it's her, and on the left, it's also her, but
and then it
more
changes.
as like a witch.
Okay. So maybe that's not what Chloe really looks like. Okay.
No.
Or maybe I don't like. That's a few questions that I'm like, huh. So I think if at least for a movie's sake, all I would have asked is like mutterings from witches and warlocks more. Because Dolan is taking a cab in the beginning of the movie, and the cab driver looks up in the rearview mirror, and his eyes shift for a second, and Dolan kind of nods and just kind of turns his head, and you're like, okay, that's cool, but I wish there would have been more muttering, like, just more a little bit of muttering, kind of see like, sure, we accepted this truce, but we're not too happy. Again, the whole mutants kind of scenario. Except if all mutants had the Magneto mindset.
Yeah.
Because that's how not all witches not all of them wanted to do that. Because one part, Chloe talks about...
Chloe literally just now said most of us aren't like that.
Yeah.
So most of the witches are content living the way they are, side by side with humans, following their laws. But there are some who are not happy. And it's the same thing with anything. In a real life example, right? For years after Hitler was silenced and Germany went back into having a stable, good government that wasn't a fascist government, there were still hundreds of people, thousands of people that liked his rule. And even now, it's not very common, but we do see neo-Nazis appearing every now and again because they feel like Hitler had the right idea, if that makes sense. And it's the same thing with this movie with the witches.
Yeah, or like I said, Magneto with mutants. Not every mutant wants to wipe out humanity, but I will give it to Magneto. He watched the worst side of humanity, and he wasn't even being persecuted because he was a mutant. I would love to have a discussion episode just about that man one day. And I don't ever want to see him in the MCU. I don't. He's too old. He's always supposed to be a Jew. There's Willem's opinion on it. We will move back to the movie now. But it's... Again, so this is the part where the movie kind of starts going south for me. Chloe is woken up in... in
Calder's home.
In Calder's home. And she wants to go see her friend Miranda, one of the witches who was freaking out when she saw Calder at the bar last night. She was making a scene like, hey, don't trust him. He'll cut your head off. That's the witch hunter. Black. They go to her place, and they're looking for the ingredients, and it's not there. And holy crap, it turns out she'd been killed. Oh, no. Oh, noes. And honestly, after that point is when the movie took a turn I wasn't expecting. I was like, oh, okay. Because I honestly was thinking they were going to have Chloe be the sacrifice to bring the witch back. Because
I'm glad it wasn't though.
yeah,
I'm glad because here's my thoughts behind it, and I kind of wish that's something that I wish maybe they would have explained or a little bit or just anything. Um, it would have been nice if they had explained, okay, in order to resurrect the Witch Queen, we need to have a powerful witch be the host.
Yeah.
The host sacrifice, right? And that's why Max is chosen, because he's as Calder puts it, a 14th tier warlock. So he's a really powerful warlock.
I didn't even notice he said that. When did he say that?
That's way back when Elijah Wood's just getting in there.
Okay. So like right when they walk into the bakery?
Yeah. And that would have been nice explanation later, a little bit later. I don't know.
Then at least make it the head witch then. The head queen, like the queen of the council, the head of the council of witches. She would have been a cool sacrifice.
She would have.
I think that would have been a cool realization for them to be like, well, she needs a new body, and who would be the most appropriate? Like, why is like they could have been like, why are they killing?
I think it was more they could have chosen anybody, so they did.
Yeah.
Anybody that's that powerful.
Yeah. Because
it would have been cool.
Yeah.
But I kind of liked that it wasn't someone that
wasn't that cliche of like needs to sacrifice. Yeah, I get that. I get that. And so this part is nuts because Oh, those were the reflections show what they really look like. I didn't realize that. So they're just that I didn't catch that. Okay, so they're all that old.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because this is the old society, which bugs me again because they're all just so that means the old witches and wizards who had more reason to hate him are more welcoming than the younger witches and wizards, but really they really hated him because they drug him, they pass him out, and this woman who I can't remember her name because she's just in here for like 15 minutes. They drug him, and she's all like, "We're gonna be the ones that took down the witch hunter," and I'm like, okay. I don't know. How would you have done this scene better? Or at least did you like this scene?
I did.
Okay.
I thought it was good. I think some of the CGI / makeup stuff,
of course.
That's really the only issue I had.
You should have just stuck with makeup.
Yeah.
Because like that scene right then when they're walking through with all the mirrors, I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize because I was just looking at the women's faces. I wasn't looking at their reflections. And I was like, oh. But then when they... Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I get why, to some degree, why this movie didn't get very... Because is she drugging him? Is she using her powers to do this to him? Look at that beard. It doesn't really match the hair on top, but it's okay. It's okay.
It's okay.
It's okay. We'll forgive it for
now.
And
like I said, the makeup and the...
In the shadows. Was wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
But really give me Kratos vibes.
Yeah.
Just daughter. And I kind of wish just briefly we would have seen more. Just a little bit.
Again, series.
You're right. Perfect. But the answer can't always be series. We've done like 3 movies now.
I know. 3. Are you sure? I think this is only the second one. Because we did In Time.
Oh, did we not talk about...
I think it was just In Time.
I guess I thought we had maybe one more after that. No, oh, I remember. I want Eternals. That's why. Yes. But we haven't talked about Eternals.
We'll cover that at some point.
I've always wanted that to be a series. Sorry. I included it in my count. My bad. So this is our second one that we want to be a series. I just don't want it to be a common thing.
Mm-hmm.
So if he dies while dreamwalking, he dies in real life. So why did she stab him, or was it implying that someone else stabbed him? Because that part didn't get me. It shows Chloe stabbing him, and I'm like, are you trying to wake him up?
I think it was more she was trying to wake him up.
Then he should have a blood wound in this. Oh, wait, he heals.
He does heal.
Oh, gosh, dang it.
He has like the same healing factor that Wolverine and Deadpool have.
Yeah. I liked it. I really got it. And he's not even mad at them. He doesn't kill any witches in that part. Even the ones who had him, I think he just like knocks them all out.
Yeah.
He doesn't kill them anymore. But yet they still hate him. And I wish we would have understood why. And now this part, I really was like, this is so random. It bugged me a tiny bit. He pulls out a little stone, and this beautiful woman is freaking out. Because if they crush it, it will reveal what she really looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Which I don't get is, why can't she make a new one? Is it impossible to make a new one? There's so many questions.
Maybe a comment like, those are so hard to make, please don't.
Yeah.
Something like that.
I will say I loved how he was forgiving, but Chloe wasn't. Because everyone has been persecuting her at this point. Kind of calling her a traitor and all these things. And I did like that. I liked how Chloe is starting to see, like, dang, you all really hate the witch hunter and I can't do nothing. Like, it just like peels off, whatever. And this CGI was terrible. Looks like she looks like Ebenezer Scrooge from the Jim Carrey Christmas Carol.
Yeah, she does.
It was bad. And that would be fine if the whole movie looked like that, but it was Polar Express some crap.
I just think it would have been better if they had cleaned up the animation.
Yeah, cleaned up the animation, done makeup. They kind of cut corners with that part, and maybe that's what knocked it down. Other than that, I still enjoyed the majority up to that. I just have so many questions. Because they're revealed here that Chloe was a Dreamwalker. And that was one of the Witch Queen's highest assassins. And they were used to do her bidding. They're the most dangerous. And then we get to see Max, our hippie Heimdall, get kidnapped by Belial. And
No. Not kidnapped. Oh, wait, he is kidnapped.
Yeah, he is kidnapped. You think he's dead.
You're right.
But he's not. It totally sound like it, but he's just kidnapped. Because he gets kidnapped by the shadows. Blah, 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 blah. And, yeah. Again, I just would have wanted a faction. I would have wanted a little more. I really wish we would have seen Max try to put up a little bit more of a fight.
Yeah.
Because he said he was like that strong, and I'm like, dude, come on, do something. But whatever. And I love how it's like he goes back into the shadows, but it's like a blind man can't see. He doesn't need the light to see. I don't know. I guess that was just for the audience benefit.
Yeah. I don't know.
Oh,
I honestly, I didn't find that many issues with this movie.
I'm just trying to find them.
I know you're looking for the issues.
I'm digging. I'm just curious of what would cause this movie to be. Well, okay, how about this question? You mentioned that you would not buy this movie, but you would watch it again. You mentioned that after we watched it. What would bring it up to do that?
Nothing. This movie, here's the thing. The movies that I'm willing to buy have to be a very specific kind of movie. Take the Mario movie, for example. Very nostalgic, very good movie.
Not buying it?
I'm buying it.
Oh.
Because I love Super Mario Bros. And it's nostalgic. And it's my childhood. I want to buy it. That's on my list to buy. Dungeons and Dragons movie. I already told you guys it's one of my favorite. It's in my top 10 favorite movies for a reason, and that is on my list to buy. This movie is a very good movie. it just doesn't hit the same nostalgia factor that the other movies that I would buy have. If that makes sense.
Okay.
If I was anybody else,
So you are a
then
nostalgia
maybe.
buyer.
I am a nostalgia buyer.
Oh.
I have the very first movie that I can confidently say was my favorite movie ever was Megamind. I own Megamind hard copy.
Oh. I think for me, I guess I need to get hit with all the emotions
Mm-hmm.
and I need a good story.
Yeah.
This movie does a good job.
Mm-hmm.
If you were to change a few scenes for me, if I were to get a more overwhelming, a more not, I mean, oh gosh, if I were to get a more climactic ending, because we mentioned this, we said this because it made us laugh. This movie is the exact opposite of Babylon AD story wise.
Yes.
We get all the meat and bones, majority of it. We get a good chunk of meat and bones,
Mm-hmm.
but then the last 30 minutes,
you get the salad.
we get and it's like, oh.
Mm-hmm. You should have started with the salad. It's a good salad.
It's a good salad, but I just was like, oh,
the pacing was a little bit weird.
And I get it because, like you said, it's almost a 2 hour long movie. But I would have sat down for 20 to 30 more minutes if I could have gotten a little more fleshed out, because it just felt so rushed at the end, which is the total opposite of Babylon AD. We are seriously sitting here watching stuff going, what's happening? And then 30 minutes, everything goes, we're getting a whole movie now, which I'm still...
Yeah.
Ugh. Okay, this part, absolutely. Like, I really would say that this movie is a very close by, especially with the Kratos element. Like, this scene, I would have loved a little more of the mother and daughter. I know this might be kind of morbid, but I would have liked to see him finding his wife holding their daughter with the plague looking up or something, just to impact the audience a little more. I feel like that would have been needed, because we never really see what they looked like with it. And you know what? I get it, because that's not how he wants to remember them. But in this part, this part, rewriting the death and the big reveal that her heart was not destroyed. The witch queen's heart was not destroyed, and he's still alive. This smoldering body is still alive. Was so well done. And everyone's probably going, Willem, Tim, once again, you have done a movie that you both liked. And it's like, well, it's not our fault that people didn't like it, and we have different tastes.
Yeah, IMDb, we were looking. IMDb said that it was
like a 5.
Like a 5 point.
Rotten Tomatoes gave it 18
or something. Rotten Tomatoes gave it 18, and I genuinely think that the reason it was rated so low is because it was compared to all the Marvel movies coming out at the time.
Okay, I have a question for you then. Is there any way you would rearrange these scenes?
No.
No?
No, I think they put it together really well. I'm gonna say this. I wouldn't buy the movie.
Okay.
If it was given to me, it would sit on my shelf, and I would watch it every now and again. It's not one of those movies that you only watch once. This is a good movie that I would.
So if you saw it on Netflix for free or something, you'd go, huh? Oh!
Yeah,
we haven't watched this in a while.
It's a pretty good movie. Let's watch it. Yeah. It's a very good, very well flushed out movie.
Because like this part right here, he's watching the first Doland put away the witch's heart, and he's watching himself smoldering on the ground, suffering, and he's realizing, oh, they kept a secret from me. And this part for me, I think I would have changed this. Don't know how I would have changed this.
Mm-hmm.
I wish that it would have been revealed maybe earlier. or something, or maybe because
I don't know. I would have liked it to be
even later in the movie.
no. I actually I think it's good where it was. Um, I like how it was put. I just feel like maybe this is where the cheese starts to, this is when the waitress comes over and is like, tell me when to stop.
And you're trying to tell her to stop, but she
And
won't.
trying to tell her, all right, that's good, but she keeps going.
Okay. So what would you do to make it less cheap? Okay, so let's talk about.
So I think it's just the acting.
Okay.
That's my biggest issue is some of the acting. Vin Diesel is he's a
cheesy actor.
Cheesy actor. He does really well.
He did
for most of this movie.
No, he did a good job.
He did a really good job for most of the movie.
Sometimes his eyes get way too wide, like way more wider than needed. Like it's like he's trying too hard.
Yeah.
Like he's trying to do like an intense stare, but it makes me laugh. But
you get the Dom Toretto stare.
But right here, like looks like he's on the verge of tears. I was kind of like, no, he's hurt.
Yeah.
He's hurt by this order because they lied to him. They had the witch's heart this whole time. But where was the witch's heart? That's what bugs me. Where did
that is something that I would have liked.
Because it seems like, did they just have it in the witch's council? They never really explained it. All right.
No, I would have liked to have seen it in like a little vault where, where the only the Dolans know where the heart is.
Yeah.
And
it would have been cool because
it
would have been cool to have. Okay, let's talk about the Frodo in the room. Elijah Wood's character.
Yes.
Because turns out he's a traitor.
He is a traitor.
Spoiler warning, sorry. But honestly,
he is the equivalent of a squib. If you don't know Harry Potter enough to know what a squib is, I'm sorry, go watch Harry Potter.
Which was so underwhelming for me because I wish
it was a little underwhelming.
Because it's a big reveal. It would have been cooler if he's trying to explain it to them, or like he's trying to be like, where is it hidden? Like maybe he doesn't have the heart yet. Where is it hidden? Where is it hidden? And he's like, maybe, and it's like, we got to hurry because maybe they got it out of the last Dolan, and they go to the place where it's hidden, and when they open the vault, it's sitting there all nice and cozy,
mm-hmm.
And he goes, oh, they haven't got to it. And then all of a sudden, shink, or like a gunshot goes through his head, like to his head. He won't die from that. And he falls down and he's all woozy because he's healing. And he looks over and sees Elijah Wood holding a gun. And we see Belial come up and he says, it's revealed that he is a warlock without powers.
Mm-hmm.
That would have been cooler than literally the last 10 minutes. He walks up with a gun to Chloe's face and is like telling him to, give up. Yeah. Because right when the witch is brought back, the witch queen full on just kills him because a witch without powers is just a human. Which I thought was funny, but I wish that we would have seen the villain Elijah Wood a lot longer. Because
yeah.
I think that, could you agree that maybe that is something that could have changed?
That could have changed, yes.
Okay.
I think that's something that could have changed.
Because I know you like Elijah Wood. I would have loved more screen time with him.
Yes. That is something that bugged me a little bit. We saw more, like obviously we needed to meet Chloe, we needed to develop a relationship between them, between Calder and Chloe. Right. But we also needed to see more Elijah Wood. Not just because it's Elijah Wood and he's fantastic, but also because we needed to see a little bit more development, I think, in Elijah Wood's character.
Ooh. And again, though, so he kills Belial before the witch, so he's out there, the witch, and Belial turns out old and ugly, and it's like, so do they all look like that? Do they all look ugly,
or not? The old ones.
So they're just saying that. So they're implying that Belial, because I think they mentioned like the Civil War at one point.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, so he's old.
Being old.
So it would have been cool to see like the older witches do not like him, because how long had that um, that truth's been around. Not 800 years. It only probably been like a couple hundred. Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Did he still heal at this point?
No.
Okay, so he did get his immortality going. No, but then at the end of the movie, spoilers, the witch dies and he dies, but her heart's still around.
She curses him again.
Oh.
Because he kills her, right? But she gives him that same curse.
When?
While she's dying. It's very, very brief. But you watch that same like greenish veins of energy,
go through him.
Go through him. As yeah.
Which I think I would have. I kind of was voting on the idea of him sacrificing himself.
Yeah, but at the same time, I don't know. It's the same. It's the same thing with the Mummy,
which we made a cool connection that his character would have been the perfect character to have been part of that League of Extraordinary Gentlemen character type for the Dark Universe. Yes. Would have been so good. There really was something going around. And honestly, to look back on I, Frankenstein, this movie, and then The Mummy 2 years later, I'm kind of like, okay, this part right here, he looks all constipated. That's the cheese. Yeah. That was pretty cheesy. It's like Vin Diesel, work on being more... he looks like he had to poop. It was bad. It was so bad. Oh, that scared me. I was like, this isn't part of the movie. Oh, it's a commercial.
There's one scene later that my wife was like, all right, tell me when to stop.
What part was that?
It was so cheesy. It was the whole... There's the scene with Chloe.
Oh, when he has the heart?
Yeah.
Oh. So we probably should mention of how they defeat the...
Yeah. So they go in, they defeat the Sentinel. That's that crazy bug-like thing. And then they come up to they come to the Queen, and I'm skipping a lot actually.
Because there was a big connection of they realized that all the witches in the prison are alive. Who are all the people who would actually be willing to be with the Queen? They're all in the prison. Mm-hmm. And the Queen has linked them all up to be, mumbling the spell that would cause the plague tree to form. Yeah. She's going to cause a new plague tree. Chloe is going to be the one to go in and break the chain and end it. But after he defeats the Guardian and after Chloe kills one of the wizard from the beginning of the movie that was put in prison in his dream, it's revealed that Elijah Wood was the bad guy all along. He comes up with a gun to Chloe's face and he says, he has Vin Diesel kind of lay down his arms and the Queen takes over Chloe's mind. She's the final link in the chain. The tree starts back up. Mm-hmm. But since Chloe's a dreamwalker, she breaks out of it herself, and they work together in dream and reality to defeat the Queen. And it was, I don't know. It was kind of
cool, but it wasn't very well displayed, I don't think.
So how would you display it better?
I think I would have just took a few more seconds in each bit, in each and every specific sequence to just solidify what is going on. Tiny bit better.
I was really expecting the mantle of the Queen to be passed on to Chloe.
I thought so too, and then it didn't happen.
But here's the cute thing. I was thinking Stardust style crap. And that's kind of lame because I was the whole time going whenever they were being romantic. But it would have been cute if Chloe becomes the new witch hunt, like the new witch. It doesn't even need to be cute. It could be friendship, like camaraderie, as your wife was mentioning. But to have them literally be linked between those two and to be like, oh, a good witch queen and the last witch hunter, best friends or like companions who work together and are literally linked by the heart, that would have been cool. They actually killed the witch queen. He's not connected to something so evil, and she's going to do her best to fix.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I thought that would have been cool. I think that I would have really liked that. I was thinking about that last night. I'm like, it would have been cool if she became the new witch queen. Because she was literally cool. Connected in the dreamscape with her.
Yeah, it would have been cool, but I feel like the title of Witch Queen is more like just her being, right? It's like Dracula.
So you're
right?
saying
There are many vampires, but only one Count Dracula.
You're right.
Right? If that makes sense. That's kind of what I'm thinking. And that's part of why I like what happened, the way it happened. But I don't know, this scene right here too, where they come up to Elijah Wood and their trios kind of formed. It's a little bit cheesy.
I would have wanted more. I would have wanted more of Elijah Wood to be working with them, fighting. Maybe he was a really good marksman. Because his backstory was that, because he mentioned to oh my gosh, Vin Diesel's character, what's his name? Calder. He mentioned to Calder that he saved him from a witch couple,
from two witches.
And he was like, you saved me, I burned my hand, blah, 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 blah. Turns out, though,
those witches were his parents.
Were his parents and all that stuff. So,
yeah.
It was, ew. There's so much stuff here that would have been so cool. Like the prison, them literally getting put into stone. Loved it.
I think a second movie would have been fantastic. Dealing with these witches. And ending them. Rather than, like, maybe they get released and Calder's got to go and end them all. Go kill them all. Or capture them all again, or whatever.
I don't know what a sequel would be.
I don't know.
That's kind of a hard one. I really think, though, that Calder would have fit right well with Tom Cruise's character in The Mummy. I think he would have been pretty cool. And honestly, Adam from My Frankenstein, I probably could have seen all those guys get together. The vampire hunter, not the vampire hunter. I still am voting for a vampire, Frankenstein, Dr. Jekyll, all those. That would have been cool. I wouldn't mind a dark universe. Come 2025, I would gladly bring on a dark universe. Bring it on.
Yeah.
Try it again, Universal. I'm ready. It's been, oh my gosh, it's going to be 8 years next year. It's been 7 since the Mummy movie, so.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. But, well, what's crazy is we've had this movie going in the background. This is the first time we've ever, talked about it and beat it to the end, really. I think we kind of did that with The Mummy.
Yeah.
And I think A Mummy was another one of the movies that we're we didn't hate it.
There were a few things with The Mummy that we wanted to change.
There were definitely for sure.
There was a good handful. This movie, though, I feel like there's a lot less that I want to change. This is on the same level as most Marvel movies for me. Especially now. I'm so sick of what Marvel's coming out with now.
This actually beats the past 3 years of Marvel, except Shang-Chi and
Spider-Man.
Yeah.
There's a few.
But for the most part, I would have gone and see this more than Multiverse of Madness. I enjoyed this more than Multiverse of Madness. I don't know. I honestly have mixed feelings about Multiverse of Madness, but also I
still haven't seen it.
They play on your nostalgia a lot. I will say that. But I think for me, if I were to change 3 things, for me personally, it would just be more Elijah Wood.
Mm-hmm.
I would want to see more factions.
Okay.
and more hostility, or explain the hostility and get that. I need to see the better connection between Calder and the witch community. And then third, possibly would be, I would want to see a stronger ending.
A stronger ending would be good. I don't know how. I don't know how.
So either I would say
But
Calder dies, or Chloe becomes the somehow takes upon her the power of the Witch Queen to some way, whether it be like while in the. It would have been cool because what if like she's fighting the Witch Queen in a dream, and they both stab each other through the heart, and she basically pulls a Uno reverse card on the Witch Queen and takes her immortality, and that links her.
takes the Witch Queen's heart, puts it in her
Something
own
like that. Like
That'd be
somehow
kinda cool.
takes the curse and puts it upon herself. That sort of thing.
That would be kind of cool.
Like that sort of thing. Or at least she gives it back to Calder, and they become connected either way.
Yeah.
Like maybe Calder does kill himself and the Witch Queen. Like,
I was kind of thinking it would be, a little cliche, but also kind of cool if Calder died, right? And then, and then Chloe goes in and is like, I've never done this before, but it's a thing that can happen. I'm gonna try it. And she goes into his quote unquote final dream. As he's dying, I guess.
She revives him in the dream.
And she's like, you've got a choice, but we need you. And she can do the whole thing, because in the actual movie she says there are other witches that are waiting for a darker time when you're not around.
Mm-hmm.
She could say that and say, we still need you. You still, like, we can't function. The world will end without you. And then he's like, well, okay. And takes her by the hand instead of taking, maybe in that final vision it could be he's there sitting across from his wife and daughter. Oh. And they're beckoning to him and saying, come back to us, or come to us, we can finally be together again. And Chloe can come in from the side and say, Calder, we still need you. And then he can make that choice. I think that would be kind of cool.
You know what I was thinking? Here's another thing I would have done. I don't think Belial should have died.
I'm actually glad that he did, because then we get Dolan. I would have liked to see 36th Dolan. I would have liked to see Michael Caine's Dolan play a little bit more.
Oh, that's right, because when he dies, then I at least would have wanted to see more people in his faction. Because here's another way of it ending. What would have been cool is if, he dies, and, we get a cliffhanger ending. And so he dies, killing the queen, and he's sitting there and he's having this peaceful moment with his wife, and he wakes up, and it's Chloe working with him, and she looks completely different. Stuff's gone down, and she stopped the plague. He stopped the plague, but the rest of the factions have divided, and the world's in like chaos. And she's like, we need the Witch Slayer back. And it like shows. I think that would have been kind of cool, because then that would have been.
Yeah, that would have been cool.
The war of factions could have been a very cool second movie. Because really, there's so many people who were kind of left unsaid. We had the old community who, were obsessed with him. I mean, who were obsessed with him failing. Mm-hmm. A lot of the old blood against the new blood. It would have been cool if we see a lot of the witches and warlocks from the bar, from Chloe's bar, were on her side. And then I don't know. I think there could have been a few things. Again, just a few things changed, but all in all, I think I'll take back a little bit. I think I might bring it down to a 7 after watching it again. It might go down to a 7.
Okay.
But a 7 compared to a 2 to everyone else, I think is very, very.
I'll put it at 7.5.
Okay.
I'll agree with you. It could have been a little bit. I think I put it up a little bit higher last night just because first time watching it.
Yeah. The second time doesn't have that lackluster, but also we're watching it right after the day.
Yeah.
But we all knew it was coming, and now it's kind of like, oh. But for what it's worth, decent movie. And I think everyone listening to this episode is gonna go, oh, and it's like, but I'm not gonna have Tim and I watch it. If we set to a movie and it turns out to be decent, we are taking movies that were rated bad, we watch them and we talk about them. This week, we had a movie that wasn't bad. I think that's why we said we'd want it to be a season. This show probably works better. This show, just like In Time, works better as a season. As a series. Sorry, I keep saying season. Season of the Witch. Oh. But a series would be much better. So is this where she kind of curses him again?
No, that happens a little later.
Okay.
That happens when he does end up killing her.
Okay.
Again. But, yeah.
Well, I don't know about you.
I
got nothing else.
I've got nothing else.
And the thing is, it's crazy because we literally have
we've still got 15 minutes.
15 minutes of this movie, but I don't got anything else to say. I think. Okay, then how about this? Final kind of questions would be 8 episodes. Really quick. Okay. I want to hear it because you've been the big advocate for the series, so I want to turn it to you and say, how would you map out the 8 episodes?
I think I would say first episode would be
And how long are these episodes? 40 minutes?
30 to 40.
Okay.
30 to 40 minutes. So we're getting about double what the actual runtime of the movie was.
Yeah.
And I don't know exactly how I would split it. First episode would probably be a 2-parter split in half. You know how a lot of episodes in of these shows are split in half because they have an intermission kind of thing. That's I'm kind of thinking like that. The first half can be they're hunting the witch. They're hunting the witches back medieval times. We see Calder find or maybe we see him at the graves of his wife and daughter.
Aww.
At the very beginning, and then kill the witch queen, like we see in the first 10 minutes of the movie, 5-10 minutes of the movie.
Yeah.
And then the second half would be just the beginning of that of the movie where we see the 36th Dolan die. We see that all that stuff happening. I'm not entirely sure how all of the episodes would play out exactly. But that's kind of the first episode for me, what I think it would be.
Oh, sorry. It's just the part where I don't know how I missed this part, but it kind of was going.
You were making or putting food away or something.
Oh, my bad. But I didn't realize Helen and Elizabeth, his daughter and wife, said goodbye to him. Like, hey, you got to get up. I didn't realize that. Anyway, so what were you saying?
Mm-hmm. Well, I was just saying, I think it would just be a better fit for this story. The last
that's
half hour of the movie, I think could be split into 2 episodes. It could be more intense. We could get more explanations. We could see more things happening.
I didn't realize he made the storm. Man, I don't know where I was I think I was
Sure.
completely zoned out, but he threw the crystals into water from the beginning of the movie. And oh, I didn't realize that this would be a great last episode. I was so confused with what was happening.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so last 30 minutes would be 2 episodes for you. So this would probably be like the first half of the last episode. Probably have a bigger, intense fight instead of him just throwing the sword. As much as I love a good Medusa,
I feel like they would have the big final fight in the first one, and then this would be kind of the middle of the final episode.
Okay. Okay, so right there.
Right here, he destroys her, and she curses him again as she's being struck down by lightning. She basically throws the curse at him so that he is immortal again.
Okay. Just uses him as a battery.
Yeah, pretty much. Which is funny because she was getting struck by lightning.
Maybe she still had it. Maybe the curse wasn't completely gone, and it was just like in its final moments or something. I don't know.
Maybe.
Remember. Do that. Try doing that with an iPad. Oh, Michael Caine, you silly man. Mm-hmm. Oh, well, howdy doody.
I think that's probably a good place to end.
I think it is. It really is. We've done an hour and a half. It's been a good discussion. We just talked about a movie that we watched and was kind of a review episode. And I promise next week though there is gonna be.
We will be changing a lot.
It's going to be hard. I might be watching it this weekend to properly prepare because.
Watch it this weekend. Watch it again on next Tuesday.
Yep.
Ugh.
So expect next week we are watching Ant-Man
and the Wasp.
Oh my
Quantumania.
Gosh. I don't. Oh, okay. Nope. That's why we do
Ant-Man,
this.
Quantumania.
That's why we do this. That's why we do this.
Yep.
And it's oh boy, we're gonna watch just Marvel's version of Tron Legacy. Hooray! Have you seen Tron Legacy?
I have.
All right, then that's all you need to know. Then you've seen the whole movie. It's fine. Mm-hmm. But everyone, here's to a new year. I personally am excited to start a full year with this. Don't know what's going to happen with this podcast this year, but I'm excited. It's been really fun so far. This 6 months have been great. These past 2 weeks to kind of rest up has been good, but honestly, I think, at least I can't speak for Tim, but for myself, to get back on this routine is nice. Even after a long and stressful week like this so far, it was good to do this today.
Yeah, it's nice. And I'm right there with you. I think I'm not sure, like you said, I'm not sure where this is going to go in the next year. I would love to keep going. This is a lot of fun. Keep routine. I am excited to see where this goes. Mm-hmm. And here's to a new year, I guess. New year, new movies, more movies.
Yeah, more movies.
More movies. Probably new movies.
Yeah. There's so many bad movies out there, and people always I talk about movies with people all the time. I feel like this is a podcast that I hope you guys all enjoy, because honestly, people tend to like stories. We talk about stories on this podcast, and we're excited for it.
Mm-hmm. I think, again, we say it often enough, I think, but if you have suggestions, please reach out. Let us know. We have our email. We have Facebook. We have
TikTok and Instagram.
And reach out. Let us know what movies you want to see done. I think.
And just a reminder, I still haven't gotten an email. Whoever emails us first, or any social media platform with their idea of a movie, we will put that as a priority immediately, and that will be the next episode, and we will mention you. Well, Please let us know if you'd like to be mentioned.
If you'd rather remain anonymous,
Yeah.
we will honor that.
And the email is hearmeoutpitch@gmail.com.
And again, Happy New Year's to all of you. I hope it was fantastic. Again, here's to a new year, and we'll see you later, pitches.